they were like, you don't act like an Icelandic person, you act Italian. You're not Icelandic enough. And I was like, excuse me?
You're the only Icelandic person I've met.
That's what they said at the audition. They were like, you're the only Icelandic person I've ever met. Right?
Hello everyone. I am here with
Thelma. My name is Thelma and I come from Iceland and I've lived in Japan for 7 years. And my YouTube channel is Thelma in Tokyo. So please check it out. It's in English and Japanese.
Please check that out and subscribe. I'm going to link it below. Today, we are going to be talking about acting! Yay! Both of us have studied acting. For me, I studied acting as my major in university and in the UK. Thelma has studied acting in Japan.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that's really like uncommon, I feel, for a foreigner to study acting in Japanese.
Yeah, and it's not common that people think of Japan as the place to study acting.
I'm going to Japan to study acting.
Yeah, not London, not New York, not LA.
Since I was a kid, I've always loved movies, specifically musicals. It never really occurred to me that I could actually be that person on the screen. I never realized that I could do that until after I graduated. I studied Japanese and did my exchange year here in Japan. And when I went back to Iceland, I was like, I really want to go back to Japan, but I want to study acting. What do I do? And then I was like, can I study acting in Japan? Is that a thing?
It was a thing,
Yeah.
everyone. It was a thing.
It was a thing. I had so many classes in dance, ballet, jazz ballet, singing, how to project your voice. There was little to no studying about acting, like acting techniques. There was one class which thankfully I got into. You had to audition to get into the class, and that was the only class about acting techniques. And we did the Ivana Chabuk technique, which I personally really like. Apart from that, there was nothing. When we had our performances, the teachers would just teach us the techniques then and there during the rehearsals. They put so much focus on voice projection and how to speak clearly. So when it was my turn to get my notes from the teachers, they were all like,
your Japanese accent isn't very good. You need to fix your accent.
When I was studying like in London, we had students that were from like Scandinavia, China, from Argentina, all these different countries, and I always felt that they were getting so criticized about their accents, and I felt really bad for them because, you know, like Americans and British could get away with any accent, but like these people using their second language is already hard enough, right?
yeah, right? Yeah. And it's so frustrating too, because it's like, I know my accent isn't good, but could you please just give me some notes on my acting? Because that's also why I'm here. I'm not here to just learn how to speak perfect Japanese in a perfect accent. I've had auditions where they're like, your accent is too good.
I went to audition in Japan and I met a girl who was born and raised in Japan as a foreigner. She said, like when she was younger, doing some acting stuff or doing modeling stuff, that it was a real advantage, you know, being a young person in Japan, getting lots of jobs. And she said now she's gotten older and she's auditioning for like acting roles. She just sounds too native and they wouldn't believe like she's a foreigner, which is like the role that they want, you know?
Yeah, that's the problem with acting in Japan. They rely so heavily on stereotypes. Entertainment is supposed to be about creativity and thinking outside the box.
The acting in Japan is very different from what I studied. The roles available, just like the type of jobs available. Like I studied theater, like of course I can't do any theater, you know, I'm not fluent in Japanese. It's like a whole other type of thing.
You know, for me, acting and movie making and all that is like is obviously a very creative thing, and you can use your imagination in so many different ways when it comes to acting and making movies and stuff. And I watched Japanese movies and specifically of course anime and stuff, and I feel like that world is so creative, and there are so many. I thought at the time there were probably so many different opportunities, but when I came to Japan to study acting and went out into the acting world to get roles and stuff, I realized that the only roles as a foreigner that you can get are like, you know, the English teacher, Saigen drama. So a Saigen drama is kind of like a historical period thing, kind of like a reenactment, basically a reenactment of something that's already happened, whether that's 50 years ago or just last week. So they
sometimes like medical things.
yeah, there's a lot of medical reenactments actually. You get to act, but in the final product they don't hear your voice because they dub it.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the whole variety show thing where you go and you talk about your own country. I do enjoy it because it's fun to talk. That's not my end goal in my acting career. I think it's unfair to come to a country as a foreigner and demand, you know, we need our roles and representation too! When this is a very homogeneous country. It's not like America where it's different ethnicities from all around the world. But you somehow would expect some kind of, I don't know, some more representation than just like an English teacher. There's not even exchange student. I've never had an exchange student role.
Yes.
Ever.
Wow. And you, just because like I'm so new here, like she's been here a long time, to hear that is the kind of breaks my heart.
There's so much creative talent in Japan and they're just not utilizing it, which is so heartbreaking.
Just think about like our lives in Japan and having Japanese friends, and you even like went to like a school with all Japanese people. That aspect of life is not represented in media.
Like international marriages, foreign people born and raised in Japan. There's like so many storylines you could do.
For like my Japanese subscribers, are you interested in seeing these kinds of stories? I'm curious, like is this something you want to see?
Once Japan steps out from those stereotypes within the entertainment industry, that is, that it will obviously influence the way people think, because many Japanese people interact with me based on what they know from movies and TV shows, which is normal because it's probably the only source of information that they have.
Do you feel like in Japan that you have been treated like a celebrity just by being like Caucasian?
Yeah, I have. You know, it sounds self-centered when you say this, but you see people looking at you, you notice it, and they've come up to me and asked to take pictures with me.
Yeah, me too.
Which is very strange.
It's kind of this irony of like we are actors in Japan, but it's not like we're being recognized for like some big role or something. 'Cause, you know, like the big roles and stuff don't exist for foreigners like us. We're just being recognized like for being a foreigner. I had a student in my junior high school ask for my autograph.
What?
Yeah, I was very confused in that moment. Let's talk a little bit about like auditioning in Japan as a foreigner. We have two different experiences with this because of course your Japanese is wonderful, but like I never formally studied Japanese, so all my Japanese is learned just through like living in Japan, like not fluent. When I go to an audition, there is rarely like a translator there, or rarely someone that speaks English, and same thing like on set for most things. When I'm given directions and it's in Japanese, there are words I don't know in there, and I can get the idea of what I'm supposed to do, but I always get anxious. Maybe I'm not going to get the role because I missed something important about the direction, and it's embarrassing to ask.
It can end up affecting your performance.
It's already so anxiety inducing to perform in English when everyone's giving directions in English, to just perform. All Japanese environment for me has been a new challenge. I'll say. I'm not going to be like, it's horrible. It's not. Like, sometimes I think it's really great opportunity to be able to experience this in the language I'm learning.
When you mentioned like there's never a translator or an interpreter, that's never even crossed my mind. I'm like, that's right. There is never anybody.
Because if you could understand,
And so like when you mentioned that, I'm like, oh dear, wow. I guess I'm quite lucky to be able to speak Japanese because
you worked hard at it. You don't need to say you're lucky. You worked really hard at it.
I have this problem. I spoke in some Japanese and they were like, your accent is too good. You don't sound like a foreigner. And I was like, they don't direct you and give you another chance. It's just bye. So I acted first in Japanese and then in Icelandic. And you see how animated I am.
Yeah.
Like I use my hands a lot. They were like, you don't act like an Icelandic person. You act Italian. You're not Icelandic enough. And I was like, excuse me?
You're the only Icelandic person I've met.
That's what they said at the audition. They were like, you're the only Icelandic person I've ever met. Right? But they just say because it's Iceland, people must be icy and cold. That's the stereotype they just immediately created. And because I wasn't like, hi, I'm from Iceland. And then they ended up not using an Icelandic person because I'm one of the only ones here in Japan.
Wait, they didn't use Icelandic.
I had another audition just a few months ago for this stage play. My role was a foreigner.
Cool.
And then they were like,
Your accent isn't good enough. We're gonna pick the girl who has a native Japanese accent.
have you tried auditioning in America or England?
Yes.
Could you do it in a different type of way? Would they let you do it again within the audition or do you just get one shot?
In a theater audition, they're gonna let you do it again. They want to see, can I work with this actor? Does she take direction well? And it's all about the acting. It's all about the acting. Yeah.
That's exactly.
Japan's very focused on appearances.
Very.
This is like what my Japanese friends told me. Most actors that got into like acting and are now in movies and stuff, basically just got into it from appearance and then we're like, oh,
I guess I can do acting.
because they're attractive.
And there are so many Japanese people who are really good at acting and they don't get a shot because they aren't an idol and it's all about marketing.
America, in the UK, there's so much more focus on the acting itself, especially in the UK where your ability to get a large role in a theater production or in a movie is largely based on what drama school you went to and what level of training you have. In my acting training, it was so focused on acting, and the biggest thing we did, which actually scares a lot of actors out of drama school and stuff, is just really deep emotional like investigation. It's like sharing your deepest struggle you ever went through or like crying in front of a bunch of people. The acting teachers just want to take these emotions out of you and you have to express yourself so much. You have to be so vulnerable in these environments. Like actors in the UK and in like America and stuff, they tend to be like very emotionally open people because they had to, like in the training.
When I was in my acting school, when I watched the other students act, they weren't acting from feeling, they were just acting what they thought happiness was or what sadness was, and it came across very fake.
Sometimes when I'm like teaching English online, like I'll do a role play with a student and then they'll be like,
Wait, what was that?
I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like,
Are you asking me that?
I'm like, no, I told you we're doing a role play. And they're like,
Oh wow, you were acting. Like, I didn't realize it was so real.
and I'm like, wait, is the standard that low?
Maybe it has to do with the whole culture thing of not being able to express yourself. Because if you can't express yourself in daily life, how are you going to do it as a job?
I don't want it to seem like we're like criticizing everyone. Like this is something that can't just be easily solved. Like this is a cultural difference of acting.
There are many Japanese actors who are really good at acting, and
absolutely.
I'm sure that they are emotionally open, and I have met some Japanese people who are in the acting industry, and they're way more open and easily cry or easily tell you know, the good and the bad. And when you compare them to other Japanese people who are emotionally closed off, the difference is quite, like, it's quite staggering. It's quite interesting.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your future plans. I'm curious about you because you've been here so long and know Japanese so well. Like, what is the next step for you?
Well, I want to stay in Japan for as long as I can, but I'd like to work in Japan and hopefully America in the future, whether that's in acting or producing. So I do some producing on the side. I would love to bridge the gap between Japan and America when it comes to acting and music, just like Korea right now, South Korea. It's doing a great job.
The songs from Japan are really good and they don't make it over in the way Korean songs do.
Exactly, and there's so much untapped talent here that I'd love to, you know, show the world and give Japan that chance too. I've been just as interested in South Korea as I have been in Japan. And
Very, very good actors.
very good
Very
actors.
good actors.
I should have gone to South Korea to learn acting. I don't know what they're doing over there. I want to know.
K-dramas are very popular both in Japan and even America. They're getting popular because of Netflix. And then with Parasite winning the Oscar, that sparked a lot of people's interest.
Originally, I was going to move there before Corona. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh my goodness. We were both gonna leave Japan before Corona. Me to France and her to South Korea.
If things don't work out here in Japan, maybe I'll hop on over to South Korea, see how it goes there. And yeah, I just know that I want to be in the entertainment industry and have some kind of impact on it.
I think that you have so much that you can offer with your language skills, with your acting background, and just your very kind personality. I really enjoy talking to you.
Oh, me too. It was really fun.
By the way, we actually met through being on TV together. We met through being on Cool Japan, NHK Cool Japan together. So
It was really, that was fun.
thank you so much for joining us today. Please subscribe to Thelma's YouTube and check out her Instagram. I'll link those below. And please subscribe to my channel too. I really appreciate all the support recently.
ありがとうございました。またねー。